Here it is, folks. Jameson Irish Whiskey, fine wine and spirits, the best way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And that Friday night, a week from this Friday, you know you're going to want to be here at Casa de Emmanuel. Now, I'll put this over here because I'm working, so it's some Sheets Brothers coffee. They got a great location out in Calcutta, and they do sell wine and beer at that location. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the fight promoter. And he told me earlier today that we actually did a show here 25 years ago. Lately, I've been remembering everything, even things that I don't want to remember, but this is one thing that I didn't remember. So, Bernie Vukolich, we were actually here 25 years ago?
Yeah, I remember the fettuccine Alfredo more than I remember you, Rob, but yes, we definitely did a show there.
Now, fettuccine Alfredo is not one of our fighters, ladies and gentlemen, but that we'll save for another Italian show. But this one is all about our favorite Irish fighters. And Bernie, once again, being the ace in the deck, said, all of them have to be from Ireland. So this is what I'm going to do with my notes. No. Anyway, one of the guys that he's an Irish American born, and I've met him twice, God rest his soul, the original Pittsburgh Kid. And if it wasn't for Lou Volino, because I've been so busy, I probably would have forgot to mention the great Billy Conn, who was actually at one time here in East Liverpool at the Travelers Hotel, which is no longer there, but it was a wonderful location. The Jigger Room, of course, because of the great craft that is pottery workers. That Jigger Room had its namesake. It was a great lounge, a great hotel. People came from all over, and Billy Conn was actually here one time many, many years ago. Other than the Joe Louis fight, let's talk a little bit about Billy Conn and his claim to fame, the Pittsburgh Kid, Irish-American born, and yes, the former light heavyweight champion of the world. Go ahead, Bern.
Oh, he was a great one. First of all, you have to remember that when he fought as a light heavyweight, which has a weight limit of 175, he probably weighed no more than 168 pounds. In fact, when he fought Joe Louis for the heavyweight title, he weighed less than 170 pounds. He was a great boxer, great on his feet, full of confidence. Wasn't the greatest puncher in the world, but he was one of the great boxers of that era.
Now, also, Jerry Cooney, in which you and I had many years ago on the local radio station here, we basically did round-by-round summaries of the closed circuit fight. Jerry Cooney, Irish-American born, taking on Larry Holmes. His significance to Irish fighters and folklore everywhere. Jerry Cooney, go ahead.
He was a tremendous left hook puncher, somewhat devoid of real exquisite boxing skills, but he was a tough guy, good chin, and a lot of people gave him a shot against Holmes, and he actually hurt Holmes in that fight. That was a fight that my group and I promoted on closed circuit TV at the Golden Dome in Monaco, and I remember being on the radio from there with you, doing the round by round, I guess it was a summary. But Cooney went on after that, and he was pretty faded when he fought George Foreman, then George's comeback, and George stopped him early in that fight.
All right, now
Jerry really never had much of a career after that.
Sean O'Grady, I remember him as nothing but blood and guts, but he also, as famous as he was for the shamrock on his green boxing trunks, he and Gil Clancy and Tim Ryan did some great stuff on CBS television. Gil Clancy from New York, another Irish-American who trained fighters out of the legendary Gleason's gym. He, too, thrown into that category that you can't help but think of these gentlemen when you think of Irish fighters or people connected to the great sport that were born in America. Now, Carl Frampton, this is one I didn't really know when you told me about him moments ago before we went live to tape here at Casa de Emmanuel. Tell me about this Carl Frampton.
Well, he's a smaller fighter, 135, 40 pounds, maybe a little bit more from time to time. Chin made of concrete, good puncher, good boxer, real tough guy. Won his last fight going away, and he's going to be around for a while if he doesn't move up in weight. If he moves up in weight, he might not be able to take his punch with him. So it depends on how high he goes in the weight divisions. But he's a guy to watch today because he gives you an action fight. If he fights 12 rounds, you'll see 36 minutes of nonstop action.
All right, Jim Braddock, Cinderella Man, 15-1 underdog against Max Baer. That, ladies and gentlemen, the same name. His son starred in Beverly Hillbillies for many years, you may remember. But that was a fight that no one gave him a chance, but the longshoreman found a way to connect with a right hand more times than not, and he got the decision and thus shocked the boxing world and won the heavyweight title. Jim Braddock, another Irish American-born fighter. Then we'll move on to some of them from the Emmerich Isle that are truly the greats of the game. Go ahead, Bernie.
Jim Braddock, of course, I never saw him fight because he fought before my time, but he was a iffy fighter at best. He suffered from lack of training a lot of the part of his early career, and of course, those fellows in those days had jobs that they had to go to every day, and so it limited their training time. And he was always overmatched when he fought his fights, and so he wasn't thought very highly of. But when he got a chance to fight Bear, he trained his brains out, and he went into the ring very well prepared. As a result, he won the fight.
All right, so
and frankly, Bear won't go down in the annals of heavyweight history as a great heavyweight.
Far from it. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to throw out a couple of the names that I've come up with as far as born in Ireland. And don't forget, speaking of Ireland, AAA Central, who has a lovely office here in East Liverpool, and the office in Rochester, Pennsylvania, tomorrow night, Anthony Agostinelli from CIE Tours is going to be giving you all amazing lecture on Ireland and what they and AAA Central can do for you. But you've got to call for reservations, 1-800-354-8761. And I will be there late tomorrow night to kind of get caught up with him as well. And you'll see him on Facebook and YouTube telling all of you about why you need to go to Ireland. And I'll tell you, some of this Irish folklore just makes all of us have this need to want to go to Ireland to experience the great pubs and the great stories about some of these legendary Irish-born fighters. Tom Sharkey, heavyweight claim to fame. Drew James Corbett, who went on to, of course, become the heavyweight champion of the world in 1896. And he also defeated Bob Fitzsimmons, who went on to become the heavyweight champion of the world, taking the title from Corbett. Also, Dave McAuley, former IBF flyweight champion. Johnny Caldwell, a bronze medalist winner in the 1956 Olympics. Jack Nonpareil of Dempsey, born in Curran, a middleweight champion who lost to Bob Fitzsimmons. He died of tuberculosis at 33, went into the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1992. Riddy Monahan, 52-9-8, 19 KOs, a flyweight champion of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the real deal, Bernie Vukolich with his selections as we salute them, courtesy of Jameson's Irish Whiskey. Those fighters could take a shot, and I know you can take a shot of this, folks. Doesn't get much better. At a Casa de Emmanuel in East Liverpool. Okay. Oh, yeah, one other thing, too. Can't forget the Rooney family and Rooney's Beer, ladies and gentlemen, for St. Patrick's Day. A salute to them. And Mr. Rooney, as in the chief, was a fine amateur fighter. Now, give me your top Irish fighters that were born in that great country of Ireland, and I will listen. Go ahead, Bernie.
I think the number one guy that you could give a nod to would be Jimmy McLarnin. 55 wins, 11 losses, 3 draws. Probably goes down as the third best welterweight in boxing history, second or third, I should say, only to Henry Armstrong and the great Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's the company that Jimmy McLarnin was in. So if you're going to talk about the ultimate in Irish fighters, Jimmy McLarnin would have to be at the top of your list. Of course, I could, I'm sure, end up in many an argument with Irish guys about who their favorite and best fighter was, but the consensus pick, I think, would be McLarnin. Second would be Steve Collins, who was 36-3. He beat both Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn at the top of their game, and those were two very, very tough British fighters, light middleweight fighters in the day, and he beat them both.